Welcome to HowMePrint.com. Today's tutorial will be going over how to set up mask files for spot UV gloss. We'll be using a standard business card for the example today. A standard business card size is 2 inches high by 3.5 inches wide. Okay, so let's say you want to set up a business card that looks like this with the star logo right to the edge of the card. Now this is what you would consider a bleed edge, because we need to set up a bleed margin here, and then I'll show you that in a couple of seconds here. So let's say you want to set up a business card like this, but you want to apply the spot UV gloss on top of this blue graphic, this blue star graphic. What you need to do is set up your design document like this. Now this white box, like I told you, is exactly 2 inch by 3.5 inch, and this is the final trim size. But you'll notice a red box here. This is the bleed margin box. The space between the trim line, which is the white box, and the red box, the bleed margin, I'm sorry. This space right here is actually the bleed margin. And this is what we need you to set up so that we can actually chop that off. This little space we're going to cut off so that this blue line here and here, where the blue color goes right to the edge, we need that bleed so that when we cut it, it creates a nice flush edge of ink. Okay, moving on. Now we want to set this file up so that you want the spot UV gloss on top of this blue star. What we want to do is you want to first highlight the graphic element that is going to be used to outline where the spot gloss will be applied. We want to then make a copy. Okay, then we want to go over to layers. Right now we're using Adobe Illustrator, but pretty much any professional design software will have layers available, both in Photoshop and InDesign. The concept is pretty much the same. Okay, one thing I must note, you want to start every design file or any type of artwork that you're working on, especially for print work, you need to set that up in CMYK. This is very important, and we'll cover that a little bit more in detail in a couple of minutes here. Okay, so we want to select that. You notice this file that I have right now, I already named it front CMYK. What we're going to do is have this highlighted. We want to make a copy. We want to go over to layers and then create a new layer. You want to name this layer, and it's very important that you label these layers, and in particular the actual file names, and mark them as front or backs. It'll make it easy for you, but more importantly, it'll actually tell the printer how these files should be utilized. So for this, we're going to name it front spot UV or spot gloss, or you can name it front mask. Okay, this is how I like to name my files and my layers. All right, now that we have the layer named, we want to turn off the base layer. Oops, I'm sorry. Yeah, we want to turn that off and then highlight here. What we want to do is, we had that blue star copied. What we want to do is go and paste in front or paste in place. Paste in front or paste in place will literally make a copy of it on top of exactly where you copied from. If you just go to and use paste, it just randomly pastes it on the document. Then you have to manually drag it over and line it up. You don't need to do that. All we need to do is go to paste in front or paste in place, and boom, that star is perfectly copied on top of where you copied from. Next step here is we're going to take this graphic element that you want the spot UV to be applied on. Go over to the color guide, and we need to convert all mask files into 100% K. cyan, magenta, yellow are all 0, 100%, and K black only. That's because for all commercial printing, any of these special effect machines or equipment will extract graphical data from where you designate these files as a 100% K. So for this particular file, it's set up in 100% K, and this is going to tell the machine exactly where they should apply the spot UV gloss. All right, so next step is we're going to go back to our layers. Let's open that up and we can double check here. As you can see, it's perfectly lined up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these two layers and then we're going to separate them and then save them as individual files. And when we save for printing, we always want to save them as PDFs. And I'll show you the reason why up here in a second. Let me just quickly move those. Okay, so we're gonna name this as front CMYK, just like our layer. So this is gonna be the base full color file for the front. And then when this PDF dialog pops open, okay, mine's already kind of preset here, but what you want to do is you want to go to the Adobe PDF preset and then use high quality print. When you select that, it's going to make some pre-configured selections for you. Optimize for fast web view, you don't need that. This right here, the first one, preserve Illustrator editing capabilities. I highly recommend keeping this checked just in case the printer has to make some edits or revisions. Checking this off and they'll be able to open it on their end and then make any type of corrections if they need to. Also, lastly, we want to go to marks and bleeds. And right here, right now, the marks and bleeds are set to 0, but you see it on the document here, right? You see the bleed margin set up. But if you don't check this off, that will not show. So it's important in the export of the PDF, you check that off. And notice it's at 0 here. Well, notice when I check it off, you're going to see the bleeds are all set to 0.0625 inch, which is a 1/16 of an inch. And that is the minimum bleed margin that we require at hamiprint.com. Okay, so we're going to save this file. All right, now we're going to go back to the front mask file, and then we're going to do the same thing, repeat the process. We're going to save this as another PDF. So this one, we're going to name it front mask. Okay, just like our layer here. It's going to reopen that dialog box. In Adobe, the Adobe PDF presets that you selected beforehand, it gets remembered, but it's always a good idea to double check. So the bleed marks are good. Okay, it's based on high quality print. It says custom, but it's based on a high quality print. We have the same editing capabilities checked, so we can save. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is open those PDF files, and then I'll show you exactly how they look as a PDF. Okay, as you can see, the mask file is aligned perfectly to sit on top of the blue. So the printer is going to take this file, it's going to print. The printer is going to take this file, print it as a base layer, and you got to remember that the bleeds are all included here. The important point to remember here is that you need to include the bleeds in your mask files as well. So don't forget to do that. It's very important that the mask files also include bleeds. We'll be going into another tutorial where we cover bleeds and color formats and preparing files for the printer. We'll be doing those in this series of, I guess you can call it Printing 101 at hamiprint.com. But thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions, be sure to let us know down below. It would be great if you would give us a thumbs up or a sub if you found this helpful. It will definitely help us out. If you would like to give us a call or email or even live chat with one of our representatives, please come on over to hummyprint.com. We'd be so happy to hear from you. And until next time, have a good one.